Let's talk photography.
Hi everyone and welcome along to another video. This one is a little different. It's not so much a tutorial but more a discussion. And I was asked a couple of questions often about shooting drone photos during the golden hour. And the reason I actually shoot primarily during the golden hour with the drone is because the light is nice, number one. And I found that when the light dips and it gets a bit dark, so like pre-dawn or post sunrise, post sunset, the drone just doesn't handle the low light conditions well. It's just too much noise. I'm even though I'm using the Mavic Pro 2, quite a fantastic drone, it's still I prefer to still shoot in the golden hour. And people have asked me kind of what settings I use and am I using bracketing and all these different questions. And they basically wanted to look for a couple of tips for shooting during the golden hour. And one main tip I'll say for shooting during the golden hour is to keep the sun to the left or to the right of your composition. Okay, keep it over to the left or over to the right, whichever one you can. Basically, keep the sun out of frame because, as you can see in this image here, if the sun is in frame visible, it'll be a massive white fireball and it just doesn't look great. Okay, sometimes it can work, but more often times than not, it doesn't. Okay, so pick your composition and choose whatever angle. And with a drone, this is brilliant because you can basically fly the drone 360 around your composition, you know. So like take this scene for example. This is in the Galties and this lovely kind of a valley here has this woodland in it. And I literally flew the drone and positioned it so that the sun was to the right, out of frame. You can kind of see a bit of it there, but you still get that beautiful side light. Okay, so you get all the benefits of the golden hour sun, but you don't get the massive raging fireball. Okay, and it's very important to do that. You have to understand how light plays with the landscape, and often if you're a landscape photographer, you're waiting for that kind of for the sun to dip and hopefully the sky to light up. So this is why having a drone is brilliant, that you can play around with it. And it's not just with a drone either. I mean, take this image for example. So this was shot with my Nikon Z6, and again I've placed the sun way to the left, and this was a 3 shot vertical panel, and I'm getting all that beautiful light, okay, but I'm not getting the bright sun in the frame. All right, same here. Sun is to my right, beautiful side light, no raging fireball. Okay, now in terms of settings, what do I use? Well, I shoot full manual with the drone. Okay, I shoot fully manual, and I often exposure blend. Now with the drone, it's not like it's on a tripod. So the problem when you're blending exposures is if there's movement in between the frames, it can be difficult to align them in Photoshop afterwards, and you won't be able to get a clean blend, even with the auto alignment in Photoshop. So what I often do with a drone is I split the single raw file into two different images, and I'll link a video above showing you how to do this. It's really easy. So basically, so this take this photograph for example. Um, this is the finished edit, but this was one single raw file. Okay, this was my base image. All right, and I created a virtual copy, which was this one, and I jacked up the highlights on this. Right, so I raised up all the highlights and the shadows. So this was the exposure, we'll call it, that will expose for my shadows and my highlights. And then I created a copy of the same file and I processed it as if I had shot the same scene but with a faster shutter speed to expose for my sky. And I take them into Photoshop and I blend them as if I had shot two different exposures out in the field. And this is the result. I mean, you wouldn't know any difference, especially with the good dynamic range that's on this drone. Okay, if you're shooting with a drone that maybe you think I wouldn't be able to pull back these highlights, well, then just shoot two different exposures. However, this was quite a windy morning, and if I had tried to go into my settings, change my shutter speed, by the time I done that, the drone would have moved and this wouldn't have lined quite well. Okay, I hope that makes sense. There is auto exposure bracketing in my drone. I've used it. Yeah, it works. It's perfect. Again, there can be a delay between the exposures, so the drone would have moved. So to alleviate that, I split it into two. Processed one for the shadows and highlights. Blend them in Photoshop. Happy days. There are times when you can shoot directly into the sun, which is what I've done here. But there was fog. So the fog is sort of like what cloud does on a cloudy day. It diffuses the light. So the fog here is kind of diffusing this bright sunlight, and using the Orton effect and kind of radial filters, I can create a kind of a glow effect, and it just takes that harsh whiteness off of the sun, like, if that makes sense. So yeah, shooting during the golden hour can be really, really rewarding, really satisfying, and because you get this impactful light on your subject. Whereas when the sun dips down, you really have to think about your composition, you really have to think about your lighting, and just the drones just don't do it for me when the sun dips down. Um, that's just my workflow. I've really adopted this style. I probably everyone has seen this. I've really adopted this style of positioning the light source to my left or to right of frame, and getting that side light on my subject. So that's just a really short little video. It's easier to explain this because I got a couple of messages on it, so I said I'll make a video. You can watch this video and hopefully take something out of it. And if you have any questions, again, let me know. And until the next time, stay safe. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.